About tonight's starting battery. That's a shameless video prop. Let's start with Josh Johnson, who's firmly established himself as one of baseball's dominant starters. What about the Belton backstop known as John Buck? His 7 RBIs leads the Fish. He's had a week's worth of big hits. Buck and JJ go for the sweep against the Nats. The first homestand of 2011 comes to a close tonight, and the Marlins will try to sweep the Nationals and go to 4-2. Baseball night in South Florida, the Fish and the Nats. Yep. The big man is on the mound. Josh Johnson takes the hill and takes aim at the Nationals. Hi, everybody. Rich Walt along with Tommy Hutton. And as we talked about from the outset, you try to win series, you try to get to the homestand, and in this case, if the Marlins could go 4-2 on this homestand and head out on the road, they'll feel pretty good.
You know, it's easy to say. Obviously, a 4-2 homestand, a lot better than 3-3. In order to go 4-2, a sweep is needed, and a good game from Josh Johnson is needed.
Well, the Nationals are the opponent, and Josh Johnson is one of the many Marlins starters that has outstanding numbers against the Nationals. And here's where you need your ace.
Well, look at this. 14 games, 13 starts in his career against the Nationals. His record is 7-0. If you just look at a couple of hitters in particular, a couple of the big guys, Jason Worth and Adam LaRoche, 29 at-bats against JJ. They've struck out 16 times, so he's been able to handle the big guys. There isn't a guy in the lineup or on the roster of the Nationals that has ever hit a home run against Josh Johnson.
This was supposed to be an off night for John Buck, but Edwin Rodriguez liked the way Buck and JJ worked in the opener, and so Buck gets the start tonight. Brett Hayes tomorrow. And last night, another big at-bat. It was Buck that brought the Marlins back to tie the game.
Rich, I think Edwin liked the 3-run triple as well. Not only the way he handled JJ. What an at-bat. This triple cleared the bases and tied the game, and it was an 8-pitch at-bat. John Buck fouled off numerous pitches, some sliders. He finally got a fastball and was able to drive it the other way. It first looked like it might have been a home run. It was under review. It was ruled a triple, and John Buck certainly knew that.
Marlins get a look at a lefty and John Lannon tonight.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's not an overpowering, not quite as hard as Jonathan Neese, who they saw against the Mets. He mixes things up. He has all 4 pitches and isn't afraid to throw any of them anytime.
The Marlins going for a sweep tonight against the Washington Nationals, trying to get out of town at 4-2. Nationals obviously trying to salvage one game in this series. When we get back, what a trip it was. We preview inside the Marlins boot camp for some Fish. MetLife Stadium. Marlins and Nationals. Those ladies discussing the start by Josh Johnson against John Lannon. Welcome inside the ballpark as the Marlins get ready to go against the Nationals. Let's start things out with Frank Fort and Jeff Conine.
Thanks very much, Rich. Well, coming up a week from tomorrow night, April 15th, following the Marlins game at Philadelphia, we'll debut our very first show of the year for Inside the Marlins. It is called Visiting the Troops. The Marlins sent a contingent, including our very own Jeff Conine, over to the Middle East in February, and boy, what a trip it was.
You know, it's one of those life experiences that, you know, when are you ever going to go to the Middle East for one? But to be able to go over there as an American and visit the troops while they're protecting our country was it was really, truly an amazing experience.
That's Friday, April 15th after the Phillies game, and here is a preview of our first Inside the Marlins. On this edition of Inside the Marlins, for the second year in a row, players, front office personnel, and even some Marlins mermaids make a trip overseas to visit military personnel.
Well, this is a life experience. This is something that, you know, you can't pay to do, and to pass up on it would be just a crime. So, you know, looking back on it, it was an amazing experience.
The Marlins contingent spent time raising morale and showing the troops that people back home have not forgotten their service.
They knew that we were baseball players and that we were from home, and you know, just brought a smile to this guy's face to see somebody from America and from where they're from.
I know for the troops, it's an extremely big deal to be able to have professional athletes come out. It means a lot to them and brings back a piece of home out here to us here in the desert.
It's a great morale boost for us. I feel like I'm in prison right now. I can't go anywhere, but having them come in, it's just the morale gets boosted a lot.
While the trip was for the benefit of those serving overseas, the Marlins people seemingly got just as much out of the experience.
One messes up with the other, it could mean the other person's life. If I mess up, throw a ball out in center field, nobody's life's going to end. You know, so that's a responsibility that's beyond I can ever imagine.
That's all next on Inside the Marlins. It is going to be a very special show. The trip took the contingent to Southwest Asia and also Germany, where the shots in the military hospital you saw there, that was in Germany.
Yeah, and that was probably the most moving part when you're visiting these troops that were right off the front lines, you know, getting injured, and then this is where they go, right off of from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they could be your son. They're that young.
Look forward to it next Friday night after the game against the Phillies. It's Inside the Marlins visiting the troops. Up next, we'll go inside this baseball game. Josh Johnson gets start number 2. Rich and Tommy with all the action coming up next.
Just in time for Josh Johnson's first pitch of the night. A fastball for a strike. That to Ian Desmond, and we're underway. The Fish and the Nationals. Josh Johnson's second start of the season. His first. He was brilliant against the Mets the first 6 innings. In fact, he threw no-hit ball the first 6 innings. Would beat the Mets by a score of 6-2.
This is the type of game, Rich, you really want to see your big ace give your club a chance to win, a chance to sweep this series, and go out there with a solid 7 innings, maybe even more.
Desmond takes just outside. Jeff Nelson's behind the plate. DJ Rayburn's at first. Bill Welke at second. Tim Cheatham, who was in the middle of a few things last night, is over at third base. Desmond, Worth, and Zimmerman. Desmond, a big night last night. He had 4 hits. The leadoff men in the game last night combined for 8 hits. Chris Coughlin and Ian Desmond. The difference, Coughlin ended up scoring 3 runs. Desmond did not score. Fastball fouled back in the count, 2-2.
Yeah, I think the other interesting note on those 2 leadoff hitters last night, as well as tonight, Desmond came into the game 0 for 13, and Chris Coughlin came into the game 2 for 17. So both boosted their averages up pretty good.
2-2 coming from JJ. He's pounding fastballs right now. You see the velocity at 96. Josh threw 92 pitches in his first start against the Mets. Bends a slider. Coughlin coming in, and Chris makes the catch. Nationals lineup. You've met Desmond, Jason Worth in right field, Ryan Zimmerman's at third base, Adam LaRoche at first, Wilson Ramos with a special guest appearance as the catcher, Rick Ankiel at center, Danny Espinosa at second, Lance Nix at left, and John Lannon will do the pitching. Love that lineup music. Worth 1 for 8 in the series. We'll see where the strike zone is tonight. Last night, Tim Cheetah established right from the get-go that it was going to be a small zone.
You know, think about JJ against matching up with these Nationals. He's gone 2-0 against the Nationals each of the last 3 years. He's 7-0 in his career against Washington.
Good live fastball to Worth. JJ making his 106th career start. 46-22. Little tapper foul.
And we always try to point it out, and many others do nationally, which is good. You see his career numbers, 46-22. But since Tommy John surgery, 34-12.
2-2 coming. That one fouled back. And I guess what you need to put into perspective is where those numbers put Josh Johnson in the period from where he had the surgery to where he is right now. And he's in pretty impressive company. Inside corner. Struck out Jason Worth.
Locked in with a pretty good pitch right here. A fastball. You see John Buck kind of crowd over, wants that pitch inside. You like to tie up the big, tall hitter, Jason Worth, and it's just a perfect pitch.
So JJ now faces Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman ended the ball game last night with a strikeout off of Leo Nunez. JJ misses inside with the breaking ball. Zimmerman's numbers so far this series. The Marlins have pitched him very carefully. That's off the plate.
You know, you think about it, and I haven't talked to John Buck about it, but you really look at hitters like Worth and Zimmerman, you're going to probably pitch them the same. Crowd them inside, make them chase stuff off the plate, go up with fastballs.
That's a pop-up. Infante behind the mound. Makes the catch. Josh Johnson a 1-2-3 first. 16 pitches worth. And we're underway. Scoreless. Gentleman on the right is looking up the scoreboard saying, where's the lineups? Marlins lineup. Chris Coghlan in center field. Omar Infante at second. Hanley Ramirez, the shortstop. Gabby's in the cleanup spot. Logan Morrison in left field. John Buck will do the catching. Special guest appearance by veteran character actor Wes Helms at third base. Emilio Bonifacio's in right. And Josh Johnson will do the honors in the 9th spot for the Fish against John Lannon.
26-year-old lefty. You know, sometimes you describe guys like Lannon as the classic late blooming pitcher from the Northeast. He went to Siena College near Albany, New York. Kind of mixes it up, throws a little bit of everything, all 4 pitches. And when asked what his favorite pitch was, he said a strike. Works fast, he mixes things up, not overpowering, and had an 8-8 season last year for the Nationals.
Coghlan runs up and takes outside. And the count is 2-1. Lannon is one of those guys that deserves a better record than he has. He's 29-38 in his career, but his ERA is 4.08 in 96 starts. He has pitched on some awful teams. Some teams that have not been good defensively and have not scored a lot of runs. But he's always one of those guys, when you play the Nationals, you take note as to when he is pitching. Coghlan takes up, and the Marlins have their leadoff runner aboard. Well, the Nationals defensively.
Let's see how they look defensively. A couple of changes for Jim Riggleman. Lance Nix gets the start, left-handed bat in there against Josh Johnson, Ankiel and Worth. Zimmerman, Desmond, Espinosa, and LaRoche around the infield. And once again, we see Wilson Ramos behind the plate.
Now Infante. He's faced Lannon, obviously being in the same division with the Braves. And while with the Braves, Infante 4 for 8 against Lannon.
Lannon's last time out, he went 5 innings, gave up just a run, but he dealt with a rain delay and came back after a 55-minute delay.
And Infante takes a strike. That was the only game that the Nationals won in that series. It's the only game they've won this year, beating the Braves. Coghlan getting his lead. And Infante dumps that one into right field, a base hit. Worth will pick it up, and the Fish now have runners at first and second. So a good start against Lannon, a good approach by Infante.
Infante has that terrific approach with the man at first base. He's always thinking that hole over on the right side. This time he was able to lift it off the end of the bat. Good running by Chris Coghlan. He picks it up right away, never hesitates, because he knows, even though Worth gave him a little decoy, he knows that ball is going to drop in front of him.
Hanley now. Hanley 1 for 7 in this series. Has driven in 2. Last night 1 for 3, an RBI double. And then it starts him with a fastball for a strike. This, of course, game 6 in the season. So there are still some averages under 200. Hanley's one of those. Drives it down the right field line. It's hit well, and it is in the corner and fair. Here comes Coghlan. Infante will be held, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. Hanley's got an RBI double.
When you come into the game, 90 games for Hanley in his career against the Nationals, a .355 average with 25 home runs. You see him have an approach like that, especially against a left-hander. Both Infante and Hanley have stayed back well. Hanley drives this ball, keeps it fair down that right field line. So just a great approach and a good swing by Hanley Ramirez.
I think if Joe Espada had sent Infante, he probably would have scored, but you're looking at second and third and nobody out. And you've got Gabby Sanchez and Logan Morrison coming up. So here's Gabby. Let's see if he can drive in a run. He fouls it back to the screen.
So Hanley picks up his second RBI. He had one of those RBIs taken away last night in that fielder's choice error situation.
Gabby hits it deep, down the line, and foul. And Lannon's got him 0-2. Boy, what happened to Gabby last night? He didn't double. He had doubled in every game going into last night.
Well, he had some patient at bats. He had a sac fly. He walked a couple of times.
Infante and Hanley. A walk, a single, and a double so far against Lannon. Ball and 2 strikes. The Marlins are hopeful that tomorrow night Mike Stanton is back in the starting lineup and back in the cleanup spot.
And that would be against the lefty, Wandy Rodriguez in Houston.
Ball in the dirt. And it's 2-2. Stanton today continued his running program. A little more progress today. I talked to him afterwards. Said it felt good and everything is on schedule. Whether he arrives back in the lineup tomorrow night or on Saturday night, that's yet to be determined. Change up chopper. Infante's coming home and he's going to score. And it's 2-0. Gabby gets the RBI. Hanley's standing on third. Here comes Lomo.
What a perfect example of how this is why all outs aren't the same. A strikeout does nothing here. Gabby hits the little chopper. Number one, he brings in the run. Because of where he hit the chopper, he gets Hanley moved over to third base with 1 down.
And the Nationals are going to bring their infield in. Morrison on a 2-for-6 series. He walked 3 times last night. Big swing and a miss against Lannon. Lomo 0 for 4 in his career against the lefty out of Long Island.
As you pointed out the other night, though, Logan Morrison last year hit .342 against left-handers.
Be a nice run to pick up and make it a 3-run inning. Now the breaking ball. It's 0-2.
A couple curveballs that Lannon has featured to Logan Morrison. That .342's gone down a little bit.
Same pitch, and Morrison goes down swinging. So Hanley's still out there. There are 2 outs, and here comes Buck. Our weather report tonight brought to you by All Year Cooling. 81 degrees, gorgeous. And of course, we're heading to Houston, to Atlanta, and to Philadelphia. Good weather expected. First 2 cities might be a little cold in Philly.
Packed a couple of pair of socks for Philadelphia, just in case.
Here's Buck.
Good pitching, by the way. Lannon went with the same pitch all 3 times to strike out Logan Morrison, the curveball.
Buck's 7 RBIs have come on 2 swings, a grand slam and a bases loaded triple. Drives that ball pretty well left center, but Nix is over and he makes the catch. Marlins get a couple. They leave 1 out there and lead at 2-0. Johnson goes back to work. Adam LaRoche, Wilson Ramos, Rick Ankiel for the Nationals. As Tommy mentioned, J.J. Sterling since his Tommy John surgery. And a breaking ball misses outside. You see where he sits. Only CC Sabathia has a better winning percentage.
I think it's interesting on that list. Tim Hudson has had Tommy John surgery. Adam Wainwright is going to miss this entire year with Tommy John surgery. Chris Carpenter has had TJ surgery.
LaRoche going after it.
I don't think Big CC has.
Looked like a changeup from JJ.
Yeah, we've seen a curveball. Remember, he threw a few of those in his first outing this year. Threw one to David Wright. Had him totally surprised.
2-2 coming to LaRoche. Fastball up, and he tomahawked it right to Infante. He makes a shoot top grab just in case he flips on over to Gabby. Looks like the umpire said he caught it. And so an out. You know, you saw those numbers, and that was since his surgery. If you go back and just include from 2008, JJ moves ahead of Sabathia in winning percentage and is the winningest pitcher in baseball since that season started. But of course, last year the problem was he couldn't finish what he started.
Well, and also the problem was, number one, that started the problem, and then number two, the fact that the bullpen had 7 times that he left games with a lead, couldn't hold it.
Led the National League in ERA. Could have very easily had 16, 17 wins instead of the 11.
Got a chance to pitch in the All-Star game. Made the All-Star team in 09. Didn't pitch. And then pitched 2 innings in 2010 in the All-Star game.
Wilson Ramos, the talented young catcher, came over from the Minnesota Twins in the Matt Capps deal. And the Nationals feel like he's going to be a very good major league catcher. Offensively, he's a guy that has hit .285 with a .332 on base percentage in the minor leagues. And so far so good this year. He's 5 for 10. That would be right down the middle.
Make that 5 for 11 on a terrific fastball from Josh Johnson.
Tommy, JJ's body type has changed a little bit. He's a little leaner, and with all the different exercises and weightlifting that he did in the offseason, do you see a difference with him on the mound at all?
I want to say a little more fluidity. He appears, maybe because he's a little less bulky. He certainly, remember when he first came up, and he talked about it when he was recovering from the Tommy John surgery, he really got himself in good shape. And I think he's even gotten himself in better shape this year.
Rick Ankiel, the batter for the Nationals. Yeah, the first time was just in the Tommy John rehab surgery. He after the surgery, he found that just doing the rehab, he shed weight, changed his eating habits, changed his workout regimen. And this offseason, when he moved to Las Vegas, he went to a nearby bodybuilder, a renowned bodybuilder, and one of the things he was interested in is being able to get through a season without his back being an issue, which it was last year. Wow. Lights up the outside corner with a fastball.
Stay tuned to this one.
3 strikeouts for Josh. And the Marlins are up 2-0. moving forward by AT&T and by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Frank Ford, Jeff Conine, all on board for the Express. Josh Johnson's second start, and it's starting to look a lot like his first start when he was dominant over the first 6 innings against the Mets. Marlins put 2 on the board against John Lannon. And here's Wes Helms with Emilio Bonifacio and JJ due up third. Lannon misses outside.
I think, Rich, we'll see this a few times. Edwin will get Wes in against the left-hander, number 1, to get him some at-bats, get him game ready at third base, let him play a little defense.
The emergence of Greg Dobbs as a pinch-hitting weapon, and Dobbs has been splendid. He has a couple hits, a couple RBIs already on this homestand as a pinch hitter. That takes a lot of the pressure off of Helms. And so strategically, if things work out right, Edwin will be using Helms against lefties late in the ball game. Last year without Ross Glode, the Marlins never could find that left-handed bat off the bench. Helms had to face the hard-throwing righties in the 8th and the 9th inning. Counts 3-1. Dobbs delivered another pinch hit in last night's ball game. Helms takes up, Landon walks the leadoff man. He walked the leadoff man in the first. Here comes Bonifacio. The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays on FSN. Exclusive guests, including high-profile athletes, celebrities, breaking sports news, insider access, and, of course, a huge dollop of pop culture. The Dan Patrick Show, weekdays, 9 a.m. on FSN. Bonifacio with that rosin covered helmet.
Looks like he has a two-tone helmet.
Those are his career numbers against Landon, and he's hitting 400 as well on this season, keeping right field warm for Mike Stanton. Johnny Murphy getting the night off. Marlins in Houston tomorrow night. As Tommy pointed out, it's Wandy Rodriguez, another lefty. Ricky Nolasco for the Fish. Be interesting to see how Javi Vasquez fares on Saturday night in his second start against Bud Norris. Anibal Sanchez will finish things on Sunday against Jay Happ. It's interesting, guys like Nolasco and JJ and Sanchez. We'll have to do a little research on the plane, but I would bet you that's where they made their major league debuts, many of them, in Houston. Because in 2006, the Marlins opened the season in Houston.
Pretty sure JJ made his debut in Houston out of the bullpen and actually took the loss.
Bonifacio takes a called strike 3, and here comes JJ. Actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, JJ may have pitched a game or two in 2005. But I know Nolasco and Sanchez made their debuts in 06.
JJ had four appearances in 05.
Ramos is going to go to second. Safe! It pulled Desmond off the bag.
Ramos had the right idea because he got to that ball quickly. The throw, though, pulled the second baseman off the bag of the shortstop. And everybody's safe, so the Marlins get a little bit of a break.
They're going to give an error to Wilson Ramos.
So Espinosa couldn't quite hang there. Or Ian Desmond, excuse me. The good effort by Ramos. He had the right idea. A good throw has the lead runner.
So you got Helms at second, JJ at first, and here's Coughlin. Ball in the dirt, Ramos knocks it down. Landon has thrown 31 pitches. And the Marlins have struck for 2 already.
JJ did make his debut in Philadelphia September 10th, 05. But I do remember a relief appearance in Houston in 06.
"1-0. That's the breaking ball Landon featured to get a strikeout of Logan Morrison. That was with 1 out and a runner at third in the first. Outfield is shifted a bit towards left center to play Coughlin. Coughlin's a tough guy to scout, I would think, Tommy.
Yeah, I think a lot of it would depend on the pitcher, what the pitcher features. I think against a left-hander, you'd probably shade him a little bit more to the opposite field. But we've seen him on a mistake. We've seen him pull balls down the right field line.
1-2. Lines that one foul down the third base line. He sprayed balls all over this park last night, getting his 4 hits and 3 doubles. The skipper of the Nationals, Jim Riggleman, talking to his pitching coach, Steve McCatty. Riggleman, a nice career in baseball, a guy that cut his teeth in the Cardinals organization, coming up under the wings of Whitey Herzog. One foul back to the screen. And ironically, Riggleman is a guy that grew up as a Washington Senators fan. He's a native of Rockville, Maryland, was a baseball star at Frostburg State. Played in the Cardinals minor league system.
They got those shin guards on, but there's that one little area that doesn't protect the toe, and that's where that foul tip caught Ramos. Watch the right there, underneath the protective guard.
There's a little bit of everything on that shin guard. He even has the knee. See that pad on the back, almost on his calf?
Those are, yeah, to protect the knees when you get down in that catcher squat.
They say that takes some of the wear and tear of all the squatting. Coughlin, a soft ground ball. Desmond, an out there. The turn is not nearly in time. Speaking of catcher's gear, Tommy, last night we saw a classic fan, a young kid in his catcher's gear, leaving from the ballpark. Look at him.
We found out after lots of research, Brandon Hyde, Marlins bench coach, that's his son Colton, he said on opening day he had that catcher's gear on all day. The mask and all.
That is a classic shot. Here's Infante now at the corners.
He doesn't need those knee pads yet. No, Brandon was happy that we featured his son last night. It was a great shot. He said his son loves wearing that stuff, wears it all day.
And we did not know that was his son last night.
No, not at the time.
Fonte pulls the ground ball. Zimmerman whips it over to second in time, and the inning is over. Marlins leave a couple. They've left 4. That guy's ready to go. 2-0 ball game. Marlins on top of the Nationals. New ballpark sales headquarters right next to the new Marlins ballpark. You can get an actual ballpark suite tour. See all the new amenities. Experience a 3D view from any seat. 1-877-411-2012. The number to call. Little bunt. Helms was all over it. And West throws out Espinoza by about 10 feet. He pounced on it.
Yeah, West sniffed that one out in a hurry. And that's the key. Watch him creeping in. As soon as he sees Espinosa square and show bunt, Wes Helms was right on it, made it an easy play.
Josh Johnson has struck out 3. And now Lance Nix climbs in. Nix, the muscular outfielder, kind of the utility outfielder for this ball club, and a pinch hitting bat off the bench. Although they do have Matt Stairs. We've seen JJ throw the changeup. We saw it against the Mets, and we see it here tonight. He told us in spring training it was going to be a very important pitch for him this year.
That pitch, as well as showing a few curveballs. Last year, in the last couple of years actually, we've seen good fastballs and sliders. All of a sudden he started to incorporate the changeup a little bit more. Now he has that changeup as well as an occasional curveball.
He wants to throw more changeups and curveballs, as you said, because he wants to be able to get deeper into games. He found himself last year coming out of games after 6 in the 7th, and he felt that he just wasn't able to finish hitters off, and rather than trying to throw balls by everybody, he'd rather pitch a little more to contact or just light up the inside corner at 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, nice to know he has that in his back pocket. Boy, that's perfect. And I think you're right. I mean, you can get yourself deeper into games. You make that changeup or that curveball, you get a hitter to roll over, make an easy out.
Here is Lannon. And JJ fires a strike. Lannon 0 for 1 in his only ball game this year. He didn't have a sacrifice bunt. JJ dealing tonight. And he's in a nice rhythm, and that has to make it easier for a guy like Jeff Nelson working behind the plate. Last night there was a lot of back and forth, both dugouts with Tim Cheetah. Some of that was both pitchers missing the strike zone. Livan Hernandez probably more on purpose, and Chris Volstad just didn't have his best control last night.
And every once in a while, you're going to get an umpire with an expanded strike zone, and if Livan Hernandez has that umpire, it's a whole different game for him. Yeah, we've had some comments about Tim Cheetah, but he was extremely consistent the entire game. And as he told Todd Coffey late in the game, you haven't been watching the game because that hasn't been a strike all night.
Two and two. Little roller up the line. Go get it. It hit the bag. JJ's there. He's out.
Wow, how about that reaction by Gabby Sanchez?
Surprised that Gabby didn't go get that ball before it got to the bag. And I'm sure Perriello will have a word with them about it. But good heads up by JJ. 3 up, 3 down. authority of the Fish. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form in the accounts and descriptions of this game. May not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Florida Marlins. And anything Tommy or I say cannot be used against us in a court of law.
That's because we have good defense attorneys.
We're represented by Frank Fort, Esquire. Right, Frank?
That is correct. Hey, guys, Gabby Sanchez drew up this inning. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of Gabby's numbers in a little over a year that he's been a Major League regular. It's been pretty much a doubles machine. 37 doubles last year. Led the ball club. He's already got 4 doubles this year. Likes to hit in this ballpark. 311 at home, 242 on the road. However, more than 50% of his Major League home runs and Major League runs batted in are on the road. So a little bit of unusual thing in the splits there. And Tommy, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Gabby, who's more of a gap-to-gap guy than a pure power hitter, hitting in this ballpark, it's conducive for doubles as far as Gabby is concerned with the room, particularly out in left center field.
Absolutely. You're a good gap hitter like Chris Coughlin and Gabby and Logan Morrison. This is a terrific ballpark to hit in. I think if you were to ask visiting players, most players would say they like hitting here. It's good backdrop. You can pick up the ball well. A lot of room in the outfield.
Fast infield, very fast outfield. And that gets a lot faster once you get into July and August. And once they start playing football on this stuff, it's like the parking lot. The 1-1. Hanley. LaRoche goes down to get it. Hanley went that way for an RBI double back in the first, but he lines out here to open up the third.
A couple of swings we've seen tonight from Hanley tell you that look out, Houston. He's getting locked in. He's hit a couple of balls well the other way, and that's always a great sign for Hanley Ramirez, really for most hitters.
So here is Gabby. He drove in a run with a ground ball out in the first. Fish got 2 in the first, left 2, and then had 2 more on in the second and didn't score those runs. So it's been kind of an unsteady start for Lannon. Marlins very easily can have 3 or 4 runs in this ball game.
What a terrific play by Gabby Sanchez on that little slow tapper off the bat of John Lannon. I'm not sure if he had a chance to get to it before it got to the bag. He may have. And I think on Josh Johnson's part, heads up on him to not just say, well, that ball's going to be foul, to get over and cover first base as well.
Here's the 2-1. Here's a look at that play.
And watch out, Gabby flips it out of his glove once it hits the bag to get the out. When a guy throws a no-hitter, you look back and you say there's always a couple of plays that help you along. Remember that play.
Two and 2. Logan Morrison will follow in a ball game that is the only one going in the National League right now. And there's only one going in the American League. Lots of day baseball. The Phillies clobbered the Mets and knocked Jonathan Neese around 11-0. The Braves lost again. Ryan Braun hit his third, and Sean Markham got his first win as a Brewer. Tommy Hansen's 0-2. 4-2 was the final Milwaukee over Atlanta. Roller up the middle. Desmond drifts behind the bag. And there are 2 outs. Up comes Logan Morrison. Baker Concrete Super Saturdays back in 2011. You can get all the action with the new Marlins 16-game Super Saturday plan. Enjoy all 11 Saturdays, plus closing day and 4 other great matchups for as little as just $12 a game. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com/Super Saturdays, and you can see the lineup of acts that was announced today. Sean Flynn, the Vice President of Marketing for the Fish, on Marlins Live with Frank Fort. Tommy's ears perked up when he heard that the Beach Boys are coming.
Hey, when you grow up in Southern California, you grow up with the Beach Boys. especially in the 60s.
Of course, Frank Fort's favorite. Is it T-Pain coming? He and Frank homies, from what I heard, and Ludacris will be here as well. Landon bends that one down.
Good names and good acts. There's the list.
We've had El Gran Combo is a popular group. The Fab Four, that's a Beatles tribute group. They could use the guy on the mound, right? In fact,
John Lennon.
There was the organist here at Sun Life Stadium playing a Beatles tune when Lennon came out to the mound to take his warm-up tosses. Money can't buy me love. Two. He caught up to the breaking ball. Those curveballs got Morrison swinging 3 times in the first. He swung and missed at all 3 of them, and it was in a key spot with a runner at third. This time he stayed on it.
And that's the great expression. He stayed on it, because that was a good pitch by Landon. It was away, might have been off the plate, but because Logan Morrison kept that front side in and stayed on it, didn't try to pull it, he picks himself up a base hit.
And you know what Morrison's muttering to himself. Why couldn't I have done that back in the first inning when he had an RBI out there? There's 2 outs. Here's Buck. Buck lined out to left to end that first.
Now, we've talked about John Buck and his 20 home runs last year with Toronto. In 07 with Kansas City, he hit 18. But I think, especially talking with people associated with the Blue Jays and hearing them talk about his defensive abilities last year, he's a better catcher than he was when he was with Kansas City.
I talked to one of the advanced scouts for a team in the National League East about Buck tonight. And he said that he had not seen Buck since he came up in the American League. And he said that he's night and day behind the plate, where he was at that point to where he is now. Buck hits it hard again, and Keel corrals it. Morrison stops at second. A couple of 2-out singles against John Lannon. Here comes Wes Helms.
Line drive, but he hit that ball and caught it a little bit on the end of the bat, so it sunk in front of Ankiel in center field. So John Buck continues to swing a nice bat. 7 hits, 24 trips to the plate.
His old ball club, the Kansas City Royals, before he went to Toronto, he was a Royal. Still sitting atop the Central at 4-2. Here's Wes Helms now. The Royals tied with the Cleveland Indians, who are at 4-2.
How about Cleveland's win today against the Red Sox, 1-0.
Also at 4-2 in the American League Central, the White Sox, who beat the Rays 5-1.
So the Red Sox and the Rays 0-6.
Helms into right field. That would be Worth, and that would be the 3rd out of the 3rd inning. Let's go to the 4th. 2-0 Fish. Tonight, after the game, Marlins hop on a plane. El Caballo will be waiting. Michael Bourne will be running them down in center field at Minute Maid Park. And then it's on to Atlanta to see some familiar faces. Freddie Gonzalez, Dan Ugla, and the Braves will be waiting for the Fish. And the road trip ends in Philadelphia. Saturday night's game in Houston, as a reminder, will not be televised.
The only game on the trip.
Tommy and I will recreate the game the next morning on Marlins Live. Fastball is taken for a strike. We'll have all the games in Atlanta and, of course, a 3-game weekend series in Philadelphia. Tommy has packed a sweater vest, knowing that Philadelphia might be a little bit chilly. Desmond takes outside, an area blemish for Josh Johnson in his first 3 innings against the Nationals. He has struck out 4. Adam LaRoche probably hit the best ball, the line drive at the feet of Omar Infante. Doubled up on the slider to Desmond. Ian Desmond is a tantalizing package. A young, big shortstop with speed, big arm. He's 25 out of Sarasota. This is his 3rd year in the big leagues.
They're trying to keep him a little more under control defensively. A lot of the errors, 34 errors last year, were errors of really trying to force plays, trying to force an out when you really don't have one. Errant throws.
JJ thought he had a strikeout.
I think John Buck thought he had a strikeout too.
Let's check Fox Tracks. Been a good night for Jeff Nelson.
Ball moved, had so much movement it moved off the plate.
That would be strike 3. No doubt about that. 5 strikeouts now for JJ.
Interesting, too, because in his outing, Josh's outing against the Mets, just 3 strikeouts in his 6 2/3. Remember, the first 6 innings, no hit innings, until the Mets picked up some hits in that 7th inning.
Worth was called out on strikes in the first. Just 1 for 9 in this series.
There was a right-hander out in San Francisco who was lighting it up last night. He did it in San Diego. The Giants beating the Padres. Tim Lincecum, 13 strikeouts in 7 innings.
Worth sends it to right. It's hit well. Bonifacio to the track, to the wall. It's off the top of the wall. It stays in the park. Worth is headed for 3rd. The umpires are saying it's a home run. The first base umpire, DJ Rayburn, is saying home run. And now Edwin, who came out and asked for a review last night of the buck ball, that almost looked exactly like the buck ball, that if it hits the yellow line and comes back in, it's in play. Now, if you've watched games in this ballpark, you know there's a railing right behind that yellow line, and that's problematic for umpires.
We get a great angle and a great look here.
Ooh, I don't know. I think that's gone. I think it hits the top and then hits the rail.
It hits the railing first, actually.
That's a home run.
Because it bounces. You can tell by the way it bounces. It bounces so high in the air. Watch this.
Yeah, you can see it bounce down and then hit.
It bounce down and then comes up very high. And you don't see the little squishy on the yellow part of the fence.
You think the umpires are using that same?
They're looking for the little squishy out there. See if we can get a good look. Yeah, right there. Right in there is where it hits.
He got it right. DJ Rayburn called it a home run right away. But that railing, we've seen it, Tommy, before instant replay. That was just a nightmare.
Was it last year, a couple of years ago? Carlos Beltran.
I think David Wright had
one taken away. Yeah, it actually was a home run. But it does really present a problem to umpires. And there are a lot of other ballparks. A lot of the new ballparks. Philadelphia is a tough one for umpires because of the way they have that left field fence. So it's tough. I think they got it right. Yep, home run. So the Nationals get their first hit, and it's also their first run. And that's the first home run anybody in the Nationals lineup has ever hit against Josh Johnson. And Jason Worth had been 3 for 15 against JJ before hitting that home run.
And that's Worth's first home run as a National. So here's Zimmerman. One out in the fourth and a 2-1 lead.
I like the way Worth approached it, though. He ran and slid head first into third. He wasn't going to argue and see if it was a home run. He just said, well, the ball's in play.
Zimmerman cranks one. Coughlin is there. 2 outs here in the fourth. AT&T trivia question tonight. Bring it on. Let's go. Last night, Chris Coughlin tied the Marlins record with 3 doubles in a game. Who were the 2 players to do it twice? 2 Marlins players.
Boy, I think a lot of guys with doubles ability. Cliff Floyd.
Do you think Gabby is on that list?
Gabby could be on that list. Hanley could be on that list.
I would say Hanley has a better shot. He's had more years. So
Mike Lowell could be on that list. But where do I always tell you to go for Marlins offensive questions?
Jeff Conine.
Niner could be on that list.
Is that because he didn't have enough speed to get triples?
I didn't say that. Niner, that was Rich Waltz that just said that.
I was asking a hypothetical. I didn't state fact. One is a letter high strike. LaRoche thought it might have been up. Counts full 3-2.
See if JJ can come back after that home run. He came back and got Zimmerman. See if he can get out of this inning without any more damage.
Buck wants a fastball, and JJ puts it right down the middle. Down goes LaRoche. First hit of the night for the Nationals is a home run by Jason Worth. It's 2-1 Marlins. perfect weather. Temperatures in the low 80s. Marlins and Nationals. Jason Worth, an opposite field home run. After further review, John Landon has to feel pretty good, Tommy. He hasn't pitched all that well, and yet it's just a 2-1 ball game.
Well, he settled in, and even last inning gave up a couple of 2-out hits, but a one-run game. You're right. He gave up those 2 runs in the first inning. He's pitched better since then. So now's an opportunity to try to extend that lead, try to put a little more pressure on it.
Here's Bonifacio. Runs up to bunt and takes outside. Bonifacio has been thrust into an everyday player role, something the Marlins are hopefully to avoid with Stanton coming back. And Murphy, Marlins hope, can hold down the third base spot for a while. But since he's been in the starting lineup, Bonifacio has been pretty productive. That out to second. Espinoza gets him. The one area of his game where he's still lacking in, Tommy, that is 17th at bat of the season. He's not walked this year.
Yeah, he's the type of hitter that you love to say have that high on base percentage, drop down more bunts, but he just has never materialized into that type of hitter, and that's why he's not an everyday player. He's an excellent guy to have on your team, because he can fill in, he can play many positions.
Here's JJ looking for his first hit of the season. He takes a fastball in. It was painful last year watching Josh hit in the middle part of the season because we knew that his back was hurting him. Not a lot of other people knew. And there were times where he came to the plate and just swinging the bat was excruciating.
Now he's having fun in batting practice too. But not an easy matchup tonight against the left-hander. A few years ago, John Lannon was the Nationals minor league pitcher of the year.
Struck him out. JJ goes down. Lannon gets the first 2 of the 4th. All right, who are your 2 names for the trivia question? I'm going with Hanley for 1. And I'll go Juan Pierre as the other.
I'll go with Mike Lowell and Cliff Floyd. We're in a no sell zone with AT&T. We cannot get the answer right now. A dropped call.
Can we hit the retry button?
Yeah. That's a dropped trivia question.
Coughlin walked and scored in the first, bounced into a fielder's choice in the second. Slicing liner out to Ankiel, who makes the catch. We'll revisit the AT&T trivia question when we return. the answer to our AT&T trivia question. Last night, Chris Coughlin tied the Marlins record with 3 doubles in the game. Who has done it twice? Well, I had Hanley and you had Lowe.
Oh, so we were half. Each of us was half right.
Wilson Ramos against Josh Johnson. First pitch fastball is a strike. Rick Ankiel, Danny Espinosa to follow. The only hit for the Nationals, a home run by Jason Worth. Ramos, one of 6 strikeout victims for JJ. The only other game going on in the big leagues tonight, the Fighting Showalters of Baltimore tied 2-2 with the Tigers in the 4th. Vlad Guerrero is homered for the Orioles.
Orioles in sole possession now of the AL East with Toronto losing today.
Toronto lost to Oakland 2-1. Of course, Oakland and everybody else looking up at Texas in the West.
That's enough! That's enough! We're not going to hear it! That's enough! That's enough!
Very clear that Jeff Nelson didn't want to hear any more from the Nationals dugout. Probably Jim Riggleman over there.
Throw the guy right!
1-2. Breaking ball. Pretty good pitch.
Sometimes that yelling from the dugout helps.
That was pitch 4. It was in the Fox Track strike zone. Diving stop. Hanley on his feet. Fires the first. And it skips by Gabby. Probably going to go as a base hit. E6. What do you think?
I can go either way with this because it's a tough play, but he gets there and has time, but makes a poor throw. Good throw gets him.
So the dive does not.
It factors in.
It factors in, but it doesn't buy you enough goodwill for the bad throw.
No, I think Hanley can make a better throw than that.
All right.
And his 3rd error this year, and all 3 errors have been on throws.
So it puts Ramos, the leadoff man, aboard at first. And here is Ankiel. That one misses. And it's 2-0. Bouncer up the middle. Hanley behind the bag, and it kicks off his glove into center field. And that will probably be an error as well.
I think Hanley was thinking double play. Not an easy play, but if he just stays with it and gets the flip, he can get an out at second base. He was shaded over there. Ball stayed down on him, but he didn't get much glove on it. And I think that'll probably be an error as well. No, that's a hit.
See, I think that's,
to be honest with you, I think that's more of an error than the one before.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
I think that's more of an error than the one before, but it's ruled a hit. Regardless of how it's ruled, it's an issue for Josh Johnson, who's made nothing but good pitches here and has 1st and 3rd and nobody out to show for it. And here is Espinosa.
Oh, and this is why there was so much work. And you hope that it pays off with better defense this year, but you get a guy like JJ, and this is a great example of what the errors do. They make you throw more pitches.
He's essentially given the Nationals 2 outs here. Espinosa asked for time.
Perry Hill contemplating what he'd like to say or what he'll instruct Hanley to do or think about.
Well, as you pointed out, the 3 errors have been on throws. That not an error, at least not yet. But that miscue came with the glove. 2-0 coming. And now JJ has a count of 3-0.
On the other hand, if you're Josh Johnson, this is where you really need to reach back. Can't worry too much about the runner at third. If he scores and the game's tied, so be it. But you have to throw strikes and get outs to get out of this inning. It's the first 3-0 count that JJ's had tonight.
Green light on a 3-0 pitch. And Espinosa, a rookie, with the count 3-1.
Mainly because of where they are in the order. Espinosa hitting 7th, and you have Nix, then the pitcher.
He took a mighty rip. Got the second strike, and it's 3-2.
Espinosa trying to get confirmation. Was that ball a strike, or did I swing a pitch out of the zone?
Runner goes. Swinging a ground ball. Gabby a diving stop. Thought about home. Flips to first. And gets the out there, but a run scores. An unearned run. But it's tied now, 2-2.
Good play by Gabby. He did check the runner at third, but had no play at all. And then makes a nice flip to JJ covering. In the meantime, Ankiel gets himself to scoring position going to second base. It really wasn't a play for Gabby at second. His only play was at first.
So it's Nix now with 1 out. Pop up, Buck and Helms, and it's out of play. With the 2 misplays out at short, obviously Josh should be in the dugout right now with a 2-1 lead. As it is, his pitch count has risen to 74 pitches. He's got just the 1 out here in the 5th.
It's one of those games when you think of that pitch count, now you're thinking maybe 6 innings instead of 7 innings. Oh, good changeup. Nix is all over a fastball if he had gotten it, but he didn't get it. He got the changeup.
Another changeup, throw behind the runner. Count 1-2. Marlins scored first and had opportunities to score more in the first 2 innings. They got 2 in the first. That was against John Lannon. JJ did not give up a hit until 1 out in the 4th when Jason Worth hit a home run that was reviewed and banged off the railing above the wall in right field. Coughlin back. Ankiel tags. And he'll take third. So up comes Lannon. Log on to FoxSportsFlorida.com. To find the latest news surrounding your favorite Florida sports teams, post-game coverage from tonight's matchup, find out why James Jones may be the key to the Heat's chances at winning a title. Exclusive analysis from all the experts, FoxSportsFlorida.com.
You saw that close-up of the Nationals' third base coach, Bo Porter, one-time Marlins third base coach.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. That one is fouled back. There's kind of a resemblance to a guy that long ago was a comedian and an entertainer, Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, that's a good call.
There's a chopper. Hanley behind the bag, and he throws him out. So Hanley handles that one. There were a couple others he had issues with. As a result, it's 2-2. Fifth. Time now for the upcoming Marlins schedule, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Houston tomorrow. That's opening night for the Astros. So introductions, flyover, fireworks, deep in the heart of Texas.
Be
tomorrow
very
night.
festive in downtown Houston.
No television on Saturday. We resume our broadcast day on Sunday with Anibal Sanchez and Jay Happ. Day off. 3 in Atlanta, 3 in Philadelphia. Back home for the Pirates. Live forward. Just for Men Hair Color. Here tonight, the discussion centers on Josh Johnson. Marlins had a chance to score him a lot of runs, and they didn't. And have not supported him defensively, giving up an unearned run behind him to tie the game.
And now the offense has an opportunity to make amends. Try to put some more runs up on the scoreboard, and Hanley will bat second in this inning.
Warren Fonte, then Hanley, and then Gabby Sanchez. The Astros, by the way, won today. Finally, they beat the red-hot Cincinnati Reds 3-2.
And their ace on the mound, so we'll miss Brett Myers in that series.
For the Reds, it was their first loss. For the Astros, their first win.
I remember the Astros played much better the second half of the season. They got off to a 17-34 start last year.
They had the third best record in the National League from the midway point on. You can tell we've been doing our Houston homework already.
It's always good to plan ahead. Well, we have a 2-hour flight, about a 2-hour flight to Houston.
We can read up on Hunter Pence. Michael Bourne out of Nimitz High School in Houston.
Born and raised in Houston.
Allison Williams will be hosting Marlins Live. She may trot out the Carl Crawford story. He and Michael Bourne playing youth baseball. Bourne's father was the coach of that team. Of course, nothing could compare to, and it's going to be a little sad, Tommy, because I think it's the first time we'll go into Houston, and Lance Berkman won't be there, so the Pumas out in left center field will. I'm not sure what they did with the Puma suits, if they shipped them off to.
Maybe they moved to St. Louis.
I don't know. Out in the center, and Ankiel makes the catch. About the only guy left is El Caballo, and the guy with the enormous mustache will probably be there.
We'll see him just above the left field bullpen.
Infante is out number 1. Here's Hanley. He's doubled to drive in a run and has lined out.
You know, you always wonder, Rich, and it's kind of in the back of hitters' minds. I'm sure Hanley realizes it. He went all spring without a home run. So he's still looking for that first home run of 2011.
See, the career numbers against Landon are pretty darn good. Hanley always seems to hit well against the National League Central.
Well, 25 home runs lifetime against the Nationals alone.
Center field. Ankiel is there. Couple fly balls out Ankiel's way here in the 5th. It's football season already, Tommy. The orange and blue spring game brought to you by Scott's. I think Blue a 2.5-point favorite right now. It'll air live on Sun Sports Saturday at noon. The Gators will battle the Gators. Final spring practice. For more on Gator spring football, log on to foxsportsflorida.com or just call John Sulzer, our producer.
Rich, if you're interested, I think I saw where orange is a 3-point favorite.
For which team does Mick Huber say, oh my? Is it orange or is it blue? Fastball's up to Gabby.
Mick Huber, you have to tell those who are not Gator fans.
He's the voice of the Gators.
The voice of the Gators. As is Joe Zagacki of the Hurricanes.
Don't forget Gene Deckeroff, the great voice of Florida State.
Florida State, that's right.
And, of course, of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's 2-2.
Had a nice talk with Mick Huber when the Gators came down and played a game at Roger Dean Stadium. They played FAU. And Mick was saying that he gets a chance. He likes to watch Marlins baseball.
Here's the 2-2. Gabby down the line. Let's see if he can stretch it for 2. Nick's going after it. Stumbles. Gabby didn't stop. And he pulls in at second.
I don't think Lance Nix could have thrown Gabby Sanchez out if he had 100 tries. This is going to be a single and an E7.
Yep.
He does boot it around, but usually if the runner stops and then goes to second on the boot, look how deep he is. You don't even see him out there.
Let's see if Gabby hesitates at all.
He's going to second base all the way. But he doesn't get the double. He gets the single. And unfortunately, it was going to be our Checkers double of the game.
Logan Morrison now. Morrison's had 2 very different at-bats against Landon. The first came in the first inning with a runner at third and 1 out, and he struck out on 3 breaking balls. Just like that.
Think of Lomo talking to himself.
In the third, he got one of those breaking balls and punched it into center field for a base hit.
All right, it's adjustment time for Logan Morrison. Looks like he's coming in with a fastball, though. That might be a show-me fastball to set up the next pitch. Look at the reaction of Lomo. That's how you scold yourself.
Took it for a strike, and it's 1-2.
And that was a better one to hit because it had more of the plate.
Landed against Morrison. Gabby's at second. Breaking ball again. Landon gets him. So he gets Morrison for the second time with a runner in scoring position. Still 2-2.
Por KFC.
Nationals and Marlins, a 2-2 ball game.
Visite marlinsbaseball.com. Pura diversión. Únete al equipo.
Tommy, calm down there. Tommy's been practicing his Spanish.
Had a good off season.
2-2 in the 6th. Ian Desmond, Jason Worth, and Ryan Zimmerman. Top of the order here in the 6th. JJ pumps in a fastball. Desmond is flied out, struck out. Nationals didn't get a hit until the Worth homer in the 4th. Desmond shoots that one into the seats. An error by Hanley Ramirez opened the door in the 5th for an unearned run. Both pitchers right at 84 on their pitch count. That's into left field, a base hit. Desmond is aboard. We check in with Frank Fort.
Thanks, Rich. As Jason Worth comes to the plate, homered earlier in the game. You know, when he signed his free agent contract in the offseason, moving from Philadelphia to Washington, of course, he stayed in the National League East. And looking up some of his numbers, he has been remarkably consistent against teams in the division other than the Marlins. The homer was his 7th against the Fish in his career, but he's only hit .208 over his career. However, against Atlanta, the Mets, and Washington as a Philly, look at that, all in the 290s. So he has been remarkably consistent against those 3 National League East times. You see the strikeout numbers way up there, 97 and 247 at-bats coming into tonight's game. So Jason Worth, again, he'll play the majority of his games against those 4 teams. I'll only substitute the Phillies for Washington, but just remarkably consistent against those other 3 National League teams other than the Marlins, guys.
Well, he's a guy, Frank and Tommy, that the Nationals obviously have invested a lot of money in. He had a lot of his early career taken away. He was hit by a pitch in a spring training game. I think it was A.J. Burnett that hit him with a fastball that fractured his wrist. That took him out almost 2 years.
Spring training game, yeah. The other difference that Worth will probably notice, and he's a good player, there's no question about it, but in Philadelphia, you hear the term, he wasn't the man. He had a good surrounding cast, Utley and Howard and Rollins, Ibanez, Victorino. I think there'll be a little more focus on Jason Worth now that he's a National to be that man offensively.
And that's, you know, that's one of the things that Mike Rizzo, the general manager of the Nationals, talked about when they signed Worth. In 7 years, $126 million. Is regardless of the price, they wanted an anchor, so to speak, a guy that was going to be a big name in their lineup for years to come that might help attract other names so that he wouldn't have to be the man. The hope is that with Bryce Harper coming up, Strasburg coming back, runner bluffs, and Worth hits into the air to center field. Coughlin charging in. And there's one out here in the 6th. Rockies won again today, 7-1. They beat the Pirates. Troy Tulowitzki already has 3 home runs. I told you the Braves lost to the Brewers 4-2. And the Mets were pummeled by the Phillies 11-0.
Pretty good combo when you have Carlos Gonzalez, Cargo, and Tulo.
As we noted, the Rays lost again to the White Sox. They just can't escape Edwin Jackson. Once he's left the Rays, he's come back to haunt him. Through the no-hitter last year and beat him 5-1 today.
Right now, they're just not hitting. Tampa Bay at the bottom of the list in team batting averages. They're really struggling.
Edwin Jackson struck out 13 in a dominant performance. Runner goes this time. Buck's throw is high off of Hanley's glove, and it goes into center field. And the Marlins commit their 2nd error. And that gives Zimmerman a great chance to give the Nationals the lead.
I'm not 100% sure, but if Hanley doesn't deflect that ball, it gets to Chris Coughlin faster, and I don't know if Desmond makes it over to third, but just deflected enough by Hanley, and that trickled the ball into shallow right center.
This is a great matchup now. You got one of the premier starters in the game against Ryan Zimmerman. Runner at third, less than 2 outs, and Zimmerman is going to drive home that run. Into right field it goes. The throwing error is enormous, and the Nationals have a 3-2 lead.
Well, they set the stage for their RBI guy, and Zimmerman came through. Twice already in his young career, he's had 100 RBIs. And you're right, I think if Desmond's at second, he probably doesn't score on this base hit because he has to hold up a little bit to make sure it drops. But being at third base, he scored easily.
Here's LaRoche. Johnson's pitch count at 91, and the Marlins bullpen is starting to stir here in the 6th.
Well, the errors jumped that pitch count up.
Ball and a strike. Mike Dunn heating up in a hurry.
Probably looking ahead after LaRoche's Ramos, the right-handed hitter, and then Rick Ankiel, the lefty. So probably trying to get ready for Ankiel.
Strike 1 and 2. LaRoche's contract is a 2-year deal, so he's here through next year at $8 million a year. He kind of breathed new life into his career with a big year last year in Arizona. 37 doubles, 25 homers, and he drove in 100. Smacks it to second. Infante to Hanley. Marlins turn 2, but the Nationals get 1 and lead it going to the bottom of the 6th, 3-2. What happened? The teardown went from 73 to nothing.
Yeah, Billy doing a little extra work out there with FP. FP, a teammate with Alex Fernandez.
George Fabregas also on there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if that was, I mean, if you could just rip it down and that was it? Out of here into the new ballpark.
See you later. Move into after this road trip. Well, another unearned run off Josh Johnson, but that run put the Nationals ahead 3-2. JJ's 4th up this inning.
Lannon against Buck. Dribbles one up the middle into center field, base hit. Buck's 2nd of the ball game. Now you got Wes Helms coming up.
And of course, with Wes in the lineup, you've got Donnie Murphy with a bat ready to go in a pinch hitting role if needed.
Nationals do have a right-hander up in the bullpen, Tyler Clippard. Helms has walked and flied out.
Going.
Helms trying to shoot one through that right side, and he's late on it. It's 0-1.
I think these at-bats are important for Wes Helms just to get a feel up at the plate. Just really struggled. Was working on things in spring training. Also trying to pick up his first career hit against John Lannon. 0 for 6 in his career against the lefty.
Marlins have left 4 runners in scoring position in this one. Lannon misses low. The count's 1 ball and 1 strike. Nationals are headed up to open up the Mets home season tomorrow night. Marlins headed to Houston. The Astros open up their home schedule. And the Marlins get a tour through Atlanta and Philadelphia. And we'll have seen everybody in the division through the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, the Nationals will get a little taste of the R.A. Dickey knuckleball in that Mets home opener at Citi Field.
Marlins will get Wandy Rodriguez, Ricky Nolasco on the mound. Lannon floats that one in there for a strike. Helms drives it center field deep, and Keel back to the track, off his glove, and to the wall it goes. Buck is digging for third. He'll be held there. Boy, Rick Ankiel went a long ways and got there, but couldn't haul it in.
And from the times we've seen Rick Ankiel play center field, he's a terrific center fielder. This ball really jumps off the bat of Wes Helms. It gets into that triangle area, the deepest part of this ballpark. As he drifts there, he drifted a little bit too far and looked like the ball caught him on the wrist or on the heel of the glove. Because he had such a long way to go, I would like to see a 2-base hit on that. It could be an error, and it's a double all the way.
Jim Riggleman's on his way out, and with Bonifacio up, I think Riggleman has seen enough of Lannon. He's going to go to the bullpen and get Tyler Clippard. That's going to flip Bonifacio over the other side of the plate. 3-2 Nationals. Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Checkers double of the game. Ankiel, great jump, route. I just couldn't finish.
And for Wes, his first base hit of the season, and it equates as our Checkers double of the game. Good battle, a 2-strike double off the bat of Wes Helms, and because of that, Jim Riggleman went to his bullpen. And you can clearly see when Jason Worth was over there talking with Ankiel, he was upset with himself. Here's Tyler Clippard, herky jerky. We saw him the other night. An assortment of pitches, but tough to pick up and good stuff.
Clippard an inning and 2/3 of scoreless relief on Tuesday night in the 3-2 Marlins win. That was in 10 innings. So it's Bonifacio, and he flips over to hit left-handed against the righty. And the Marlins have another left-handed bat on deck waiting for Clippard. Nobody else is throwing in the Nationals' pen. And Bonifacio goes after the first pitch and fouls it out of play. That's a pitch that's up in on his hands. It's 0-1.
Well, great opportunity the Marlins have right here.
Got a piece, but it's 0-2. Strikeout and a ground out for Bonifacio tonight. Buck opened with a single. Helms hit that 420-foot double off the glove of Ankiel. Let's see what Bonifacio gets. Ball and 2 strikes.
This would be a great chance for the Marlins to do something that wasn't done a lot with JJ on the mound. He had those 7 games that he left with a lead. The bullpen blew the game. He leaves this game right now anyway with the score 3-2 and 2 of the runs unearned. But an opportunity for his club to put him ahead and for the bullpen to kind of nail things down, and he can pick up a win.
Bonifacio, Desmond knocks it down, fires the first in time. The game is tied. Buck comes across. It's 3-3. And a nice job by Bonifacio. He hit it hard up the middle, and once Buck saw Desmond drift to his left, he came across to score.
The other thing about that, because of where it was hit, the runner at second base, Wes Helms, really couldn't get himself over to third. But he's still in scoring position for the pinch hitter, Greg Dobbs.
And what a job Dobbs has done so far this season. So JJ exits after 6. And a chance for Dobbs again. You can see the 2 hits, both are pinch hits. The RBIs were both enormous RBIs.
Well, as we've talked about, each time he's tied a game, now he has a chance with a base hit to put the Marlins ahead.
Changeup, Dobbs was out in front. Coughlin's on deck. 1 out, bottom 6. 3-3 ball game. Ball must have caught the inside corner. It's 0-2. And you can see it just lives on the edge. So it's 0-2. Dobbs got to the big leagues with Seattle. Spent parts of 3 years with the Mariners, 4 years in Philadelphia. Stays alive. The 2 years he had big years in Philadelphia in 07 and 08, he hit .292 with 14 pinch hits. In 07, he had a league-leading 22 pinch hits and hit .355 as a pinch hitter in the Phillies World Championship season.
And he was used occasionally as a third baseman. He had over 300 at bats in 07 and over 220 in 08.
Fastball, swing and a miss. He threw it by him. And so Dobbs goes down swinging. Here comes Coghlan.
Clippard is one of those guys. He might not throw 98, but it looks 98.
A strike to Coghlan. JJ goes 6. Landon goes 5+. Breaking ball, and quickly it's 0-2, and Clippard has come in and thrown strikes. Workhorse in the Nationals bullpen. And an 0-2. Struck him out, high fastball. So Clippard comes in, gets 3 outs, but the Marlins get a run and tie it at 3. Marlins Ballpark available now. Select your seats in the new ballpark. Be part of the future. Marlins baseball in Miami. Place a deposit today. Just call the new Marlins Ballpark sales headquarters at 877-411-2012. Go to marlins.com/new ballpark. When you go to marlins.com/new ballpark, check out the ballpark webcam and the latest shots. There's a panoramic camera that you can control inside the ballpark. It'll give you the latest on construction. You see, one thing that you'll see now, if you haven't checked it in about 3 weeks to a month, the blue seats are starting to fill up the bowl. Mike Dunn with Wilson Ramos up there. And a fastball is high. And so as we start the 7th, neither starting pitcher will figure in the decision.
Well, we've talked about the excellence of the bullpen, especially the last 2 games. And for Mike Dunn, making his 4th appearance, has not given up a run, given up just 1 base hit.
16 consecutive innings without an earned run. That's the good news. The bad news is those 16 innings have come over the last 3 games. So the pen's been used. And Dunn misses. He's missed on his first 3 pitches to the Nationals catcher. And this is a game where Josh Johnson goes 94 pitches, but it's hard to place the blame on JJ.
Can't do it.
You go back to that 5th inning. The throwing error on Hanley Ramirez allowed Ramos to reach, and then Hanley misplayed a ball which was ruled a single. That allowed Ankiel to reach. Ramos came in to score. It extended the inning for JJ. Another throwing error in the 6th inning helped the Nationals to another run. That throwing error by John Buck.
Well, a tie game here in the 7th. Let's see how Jim Riggleman places.
Ankiel brings a bunt down the first baseline with him. Dunn makes the play. And it goes as a sacrifice. Our leaders of the game presented by JM Lexus. Bullpen ERA, the Marlins behind the Braves. They have some great arms there. Venters, Kimbrel, Moylan. And the Reds, Aroldis Chapman.
We'll get a chance to see him. We didn't see him last year, did we?
No, I don't think we did.
Marlins head into Cincinnati, very end of April, last 2 days of April, first day of May.
Don't pack anything red for that trip.
No, then on to St. Louis for 4. I think sometimes in St. Louis, if you don't wear red, they don't let you into the ballpark.
They certainly won't let you into Mike Shannon's restaurant. Espinosa, the switch hitter. He's 0 for 2. He's driven in a run. Dunn right now is not sharp, and the Marlins bullpen starts to stir again. And I think John Buck's going out to do 2 things. One, to settle down Dunn, and here it's Randy St. Clair's coming out too. And I think they're going to buy some time.
Well, also because with Dunn out there, the lefty due up after Espinosa, Lance Nix, and we see Jerry Hairston getting loose in the on-deck circle, so Ryan Webb is going to be afforded a little more time now to get loose down the bullpen.
Edwin Rodriguez and the Marlins. Jim Riggleman and the Nationals. 3-3 ball game. Final game, 3-game series. Marlins have won the first 2. The Fish trying to get to 4-2. The Nationals trying to get to 2-4. Espinosa goes after that sinker. And Infante is there and makes the catch. So let's see which moves are made here. Here comes Hairston.
I think we've seen that Mike Dunn is effective against right-handers. He just got the right-hander Espinosa out. So there's no need to make a couple of changes here. Let Mike Dunn finish this inning.
Especially
go to the offense.
Especially with the bullpen, as we pointed out, that has been used a lot over the last 3 games. There's Ramos. He walked to lead off the inning. Dunn misses with a breaking ball. Nationals already have opened up their home schedule. The first president's race has taken place.
Teddy still has not won.
buck for a look, and it's out of play.
We've also told you a little bit about Dunn, who's a good athlete. I mean, he originally was drafted and signed by the Yankees as an outfielder. And then a couple of years in the minor leagues, 07 and 08, a starting pitcher, so he's gotten a chance to pitch a lot.
There are many more stories of guys like that. Rafael Soriano, who's an outfielder, who can't make it as a position player and become pitchers than there are of the Rick Ankiels, who can't cut it as a pitcher and decide to become a position player. Broken bat and a foul ball. Of course, the great story of one of our compatriots, Jeff Conine, who was a pitcher at UCLA. And one of his coaches at UCLA, I believe his name was Guy Hansen.
Guy Hansen
became a scout for the Kansas City Royals and told the Royals, we got this guy at UCLA and he wasn't much of a pitcher, but he can hit. He's a great athlete. We ought to take a chance on him. And that's how Jeff Conine became a position player.
So you never know. I tell you, there was a guy, played with a guy in the minor leagues who was a pitcher, had a live arm, but later went on and had a couple of decent years with the Twins. Bobby Darwin, right-handed hitter, had a little power.
Hairston battling with a count 1-2. I know a lot of people have said, how come Dontrell Willis doesn't try to become a position player? But I think the athleticism for Willis might be an issue. Where would he play? And that question sometimes is asked about pitchers that are great hitters. I know Ken Brett was a terrific hitter in his day. And
one of the best I saw.
And many thought he would also be a very good everyday player. Hairston climbs back in. He pulls that one foul. Hairston, we certainly saw his brother Scott come in with the Mets, and we talked about his father Jerry. But his grandfather Sam also played in the big leagues, albeit for a season with the White Sox. He was the first African-American player to play for the White Sox. So 3 generations of Hairstons in the big leagues. Two coming. Sawed him off. Helms crossed the diamond in time. Mike Dunn works a scoreless seventh inning stretch. Marlins and Nationals 3-3.
tomorrow, the Marlins will be off to Houston, and a week from tomorrow, they will be in Philadelphia. And after that game against the Phillies on the 15th, we'll debut our first edition this season of Inside the Marlins. And it will cover the Marlins trip overseas. That's right, the visit to the troops. John Buck, Logan Morrison, Jeff Conine, Andre Dawson, Marlins president David Sampson. There's Lobo signing a bomb on a B-1 bomber. That's the C-30 transport. We'll tell you all about their trip to Bahrain, to Southwest Asia, and to Germany. That's all coming up on our very first edition of Inside the Marlins. That'll be next Friday night following the game with the Phillies. And coming up tonight on Marlins Live postgame, we'll wrap up this game. We'll have all the analysis and get you ready for the first road trip of the season. And Rich and Tommy, I can say this without a hint of hyperbole for Inside the Marlins next Friday. It is now the award-winning, the Emmy award-winning Inside the Marlins.
Frank, do you have that on your mantle?
I do.
Is it doorstop? Where is it?
No, it is. It is on a nice little table all by itself in my living room. We won a regional Emmy, Southeast Regional Emmy for Inside the Marlins, the show we did on Jack McKeon.
Here's Infante. And a little looper out into shallow center. Desmond runs it down. Basket catch. Congratulations on the award, Frank.
Very much. I appreciate it.
That must have been an awkward acceptance speech, because normally you get up there and you thank your producer, but you were the producer.
Yeah, that is true. And they give you 30 seconds to at the regional Emmys.
I'd like to thank myself.
Yeah.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Allow myself to introduce. Yes, as Austin Powers once said.
Nice.
But I'll tell you what. This is John Sulcer. There was only room for one on the trip, and I was quite busy with hockey. And John Sulcer, our game producer, went over, shot all the video over there, and has kind of drawn me a roadmap to help put the show together, since he's now busy producing games. So John's put his trust in me to come up with another award winner, and some really, really compelling stuff from overseas. Everybody came back, and we've been doing some follow-up interviews these last couple weeks. Everybody comes back and says it's an unbelievable experience to get to meet the men and women in uniform, and how selfless they are, and how much they believe in what they're doing to put themselves out there each and every day, sometimes very much in harm's way.
All right, Frank, we look forward to the debut. Hanley Ramirez with a count 1-1. Marlins 3, Nationals 3, bottom 7. Hanley had an RBI double back in the first. The tone was set in this one, Tommy, when the Marlins got just the 2 runs in the first and had more base runners in the second and the third, and couldn't break through against John Lannon. Meanwhile, JJ did not give up a hit until the Worth solo homer in the fourth.
Yeah, it's that type of game where you see early, you allow a starting pitcher to kind of settle in when you have a chance to get him out of there with more runs. And now it's turned over to the bullpen. Tyler Clippard has faced 4, he's retired 4. And he is the type of relief pitcher. He's a valuable guy. He certainly was so last year.
Hanley into center. Ankiel stumbles, and he won't get there. I don't think, even without the stumble, he would have made the catch. Hanley is aboard, and a base-stealing threat with Gabby coming up.
Clippard last year appeared in 78 games. He was 11-8 with an ERA just a little over 3 and through 91 innings. So he's not a one-inning guy. He's not a matchup guy out of a bullpen. Yeah, I think this is one of those opportunities you'd love to see Hanley, if he can get a good jump, try to get himself in scoring position. Clippard thinking that exact same thing.
Remember, it's not Pudge behind the plate. It's Wilson Ramos tonight. Sanchez pulled one down the line. Lance Nix kind of kicked it in the corner. Gabby did not stop and was headed towards second, but the official score gave him a single and gave Nix an error. Time called.
That was a late timeout called, of course, asked by Gabby.
Pudge reclining in the Nationals dugout, talking things over with Alex Cora. Talked about how valuable Clippard is. Look at him against the Marlins.
Wow.
That's over 16 games worth.
That's some serious pitching. It seems like every time the Marlins play the Nationals, they're going to see Clippard a couple of times in a series. He did not pitch last night, but he threw 2 shutout innings in the first game of this series.
Hanley's career numbers. Of course, as his career has gone on, he's gotten a little bit stronger and a little bit thicker. Hanley in his rookie season, in fact his first 2 seasons, he stole 51 bases in both of those years. He stole 32 bases last year. Gabby pops a foul, and it's backing out of play.
I think Hanley's still capable to give you 25 or 30 stolen bases a year, with the many other things that he can bring offensively as well. I don't think at this stage you're expecting 50 or 60.
Marlins came from behind last night to win. Nationals last night had a 4-0 lead. Change up and a good one. So Clippard now has 3 strikeouts. And the 3 hitters he's struck out, Greg Dobbs, Chris Coughlin, and Gabby Sanchez.
Yeah, that herky-jerkiness really accentuates his arm action and makes the changeup a devastating pitch. And he throws it for strikes, and he has a live enough fastball, 92, 93, that he keeps you honest with that.
Morrison was 1 for 3 against the lefty Lannon. A single and a pair of strikeouts. And Clippard is figuring that if Hanley's going to run, now with 2 outs, the odds are increased. He's running. It's a pitch out. Ramos is throwing the dirt. Dug out nicely by Desmond, who holds on. And Hanley is gunned down to finish the 7th. half-season, 10-game flex plan, and more. Season ticket plans start at just $85, so secure your seats today. 1-877-Marlins. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort, John Sulzer, our producer, Jim Hawley, our award-winning director, and Ken Lee, our critically acclaimed graphics coordinator.
Yeah, Jim Hawley has many awards on his mantle.
See, and Jim has enough that he can use a few of them for bookends or door stops, paperweights. Keep the newspapers in the recycling bin from blowing out when you put it out at night.
Well, they were trying to see who was going to pinch hit. Once Edwin saw that Jim Riggleman had announced Mike Morse, right-handed hitter, Edwin goes out, makes the move, and gives Ryan Webb lots of time to get himself ready to come in.
So as Webb arrives, we'll take a leisurely break. A Marooney called to the pen. The Marlins replace Mike Dunn with Ryan Webb. And Webb comes to the mound. He'd like, obviously, to erase those 3 runs against the Mets. That's inflated his ERA.
Well, he gets the matchup in his favor. The righty-righty. Morse is the hitter. Good live fastball. Look at that, 95. It's one of those guys. Ryan Webb is 6'6", close to 230. Really keeps himself focused. Doesn't show a whole lot of emotion out there, and that's fine.
Little slider, Infante on to first in time. And Mike Morse is out. The first out of the 8th. Doing more on defense, brought to you by Home Depot. This was that odd roller that kicked off the bag. And Gabby shoveled it to JJ to get the out. From that point on, it's been all downhill as far as defense for the Marlins. Hanley's had some issues at short. John Buck, a throwing error, led to an unearned run. And we've had 2 different reports as to the amount of earned runs that have been charged to Josh Johnson. MLB.com has 1. CBS.com has 2. Let's see what Fox. Let's go see what Fox's scoreboard has.
Breaking ball from Webb misses outside.
Ryan Webb out of Clearwater, Palm Harbor area, over the other coast. Ran into, matched up a little bit with Chris Coughlin.
Yeah, he did.
In their high school days.
Ground ball up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. Fox's website has one. We will send a missive down to the official score to get confirmation, but we believe it's just one of the 3 runs earned. Cold hard blast. This was it. Watch where this one lands too. Worth hustling. Umpires right behind him. Off that bar behind the wall, it's a home run.
Got to be careful here too now, Rich, because remember Desmond stole a base back in the 6th inning. Eventually came in to score a run on the base hit by Zimmerman.
Runner goes, and Buck has no chance. So Desmond has another stolen base. Of the Marlin relievers, Webb is probably the slowest to the plate.
And the Nationals taking advantage of it there. The Marlins could not, with Hanley being thrown out to end the inning last inning.
Well, the Nationals certainly have had the right guys up at the right time. It was Zimmerman after Desmond's stolen base and the throwing error by Buck that drove in the run. Now they've got Worth up.
They get Zimmerman on deck.
.94 on that fastball, and it's 2-1. You look at Jason Worth, and you sometimes you forget that his grandfather and his uncle were both diminutive shortstops, the Schofields.
Ducky and Dick.
But his mom was a world-class sprinter.
Dick not as diminutive as Ducky was.
Here comes Zimmerman now. In our Toyota trend, 14 career homers against the Marlins. Most versus any other team.
Well, that's a tough trio to face, and Worth just drew the walk. Zimmerman, and on deck is the left-hander, Adam LaRoche.
Webb runs that fastball in. That's 1-0.
You can see the velocity and the movement Ryan Webb has with that good two-seamer. Right now, just having a little trouble with the control.
But it seems like in this ball game, whenever the Marlins have had a little trouble, it's turned into big trouble. John Buck out to talk to Webb. As Tommy pointed out, Palm Harbor, Florida home, 25 is Webb. A's 4th-round pick in 2004. And his father pitched in the big leagues with the Mets and the Dodgers. His dad, Hank Webb. Chopper over the middle, and it's Hanley who steps on the bag, got the first, got the double play. Both Infante and Hanley were waiting at the bag, and it was Hanley who wrestled the ball away and got the foot just on the bag. You know, it was a good moment until those guys stood up. What a buzzkill that was.
Well, we've seen Drew Storen before in this series. The hard-throwing right-hander with sliders out of Stanford. It's a good bullpen. We talked about that the other night. The Nationals have it was last year for them, and it's another strong point for them this year.
Logan Morrison, John Buck, Wes Helms. Marlins have used Greg Dobbs as a pinch hitter, but they still have Donnie Murphy.
Still have Mike Stanton.
That's right. Scott Cousins still available. Bottom of the 8th. Marlins broke a 4-4 tie last night and ended up winning 7-4. Storen pours across the strike.
You see that 95, and Storen not a big guy, but good velocity with that fastball.
He worked an inning of scoreless relief on Tuesday night. Punched out a couple. Morrison has taken a couple of heaters, and it's 0-2.
Jumped that one up to 96.
Well, as we pointed out on Tuesday night, if you're not named Strasburg as a pitching prospect, you get overlooked. And Storen taken in the same round as Strasburg in that first round. Morrison up the middle. Espinoza just got him. Espinoza, who played shortstop coming through the system and in college, has a good strong arm at second base.
Well, it's always fun to look at the draft and see who's picked before or after. I was looking at Ryan Zimmerman, who was drafted in the first round in 05. He was the 4th player drafted. Justin Upton, Alex Gordon, and Jeff Clement were picked before Ryan Zimmerman.
Buck over to Zimmerman, who lobs it across in time, and Storen has 2 quick outs here in the 8th.
So Upton's turned out okay. Alex Gordon has been, I think, a little bit of a disappointment for the Kansas City Royals, and Jeff Clement isn't even with the Mariner organization anymore.
Here comes Helms. Clement in Pittsburgh last year. I don't know that he's on a major league roster, or he may be on the disabled list this year. Fastball for a strike. Oh, 1-1 to Helms. Breaking ball is low. Helms hit that ball off the glove of Ankiel, which went for a double. You can see waiting in the wings, Cousins. Stanton is back there. Stanton has gone the Chris Coughlin route with the Ricky Nolasco also has supported that look.
Do you go with that on both sides or just one side?
I think if you just go one side, aerodynamically, you're in trouble.
You and I could feature that some night on Marlins Live.
Well, you being such a NASCAR guy, I mean, you know what restrictor plates do.
Is that one side only, see?
Helms hits it in the seats. Coughlin, I believe, has both sides. Two. Fastball out. Counts full, 3-2.
Need both sides for Chris Coughlin. I think it's a choice. You know, whatever feels comfortable.
Or if you get in with Hugo the Barber and all of a sudden you're late for batting practice, maybe Stanton only had time for one side.
Yeah, got to go stretch.
Helms went after the fastball, and Storen flat out threw it by him. 1, 2, 3 go the pitch in the 8th, on to the 9th. And Rick Ankiel up. Ryan Webb continues on. Josh Johnson went the first 6. Gave up 3 runs, just 1 of them earned. Good changeup by Webb.
Another pitch that he features. Really works well off that hard sinking fastball. And against left-handers.
Only other game in the big leagues going on right now in Baltimore, where the Tigers have a 5-4 lead over the Orioles. Adam Jones is homered along with Vlad Guerrero.
I think that was a Brad Penny start for Detroit.
Another homer for Alex Avila. Three and one.
Young catcher off to a good start. Was 3 for 4 with a home run last night. Son of Al Avila, the assistant to Dave Dombrowski, who was also here when Dombrowski was the Marlins general manager.
Another former Marlin assistant general manager has a baseball playing son. Frank Wren has his son, I believe, plays at Georgia Tech. In the air to center, Coughlin going back. He's there and he makes the catch. Tommy, before the ball game, there were a lot of scouts here, a lot of advanced scouts, and one that has watched this whole homestand was remarking how surprised he was about Chris Coughlin in center field and the routes that Coughlin has taken, and that he's looked quite comfortable out there.
That's good to hear, and I think we've seen a little bit of that. We didn't get a lot of opportunities to see him in spring training. But I think that scout is absolutely right. We've seen some good routes. Robbing Rick Ankiel the other night.
Ramos hit the smash up the middle back in the 5th inning. Hanley made a terrific diving stop on it. Jumped to his feet and promptly threw the ball away. Ankiel then hit a ball to Hanley's left that looked like a sure double play, and it got by Hanley. It was actually ruled a hit. And that's how the Nationals got their run in the 5th. Counts 1-2 on Ramos. Jim Riggleman looking at his lineup card.
Get to that point now, both managers mixing and matching, making sure they have available arms and bats.
As we told you, the previous 3 games, the Marlins bullpen had worked 16 innings. The good news was that they had not given up an earned run in those 16. Webb trying to stretch that run to 19 innings. There's a ground ball Hanley's way. Straightens up, fires that one on the mark. The other night, Rick Ankiel hit a ball. And, Tommy, this is a great example of Coughlin in center field.
Got a good jump. Remember, it was a changeup. Ankiel had a good swing, good jump, good route, and a well-timed leap. And he robbed Rick Ankiel. Ankiel had a little bit of a sense of humor about it afterward. The next day, would he sign his autograph on a picture out of the Miami Herald?
And he said, "Nice Hollywood dive."
And sent it over to Chris Coughlin. Rick Ankiel.
I think the guy most famous for the, quote, Hollywood dive, Jim Edmonds. Coughlin, I don't think, has to leave his feet on this one, although Morrison is calling for it, and at the last minute, Lomo gives way to Coughlin. And a pair of former infielders hooking up out there in the outfield. 1-877 Marooney. By Sonic. Right now at Sonic, you can get your hands on 4 new premium beef hot dogs, now just $1.99 each. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Big Sun Life Stadium, home for the Marlins for the last year. Mike Stanton has been spotted on deck. Emilio Bonifacio leads it off. Stanton will follow. At least it looks like he will follow. And then you got Chris Coughlin at the top of the order. As the Marlins here battling against a hard-throwing right-hander, Drew Storen. Bottom of the ninth. Marlins have a walk-off win already on the season.
And how key is it for the Marlins to get this guy on base, Bonifacio? Off to a nice start, 6 for 15, little 4-game hitting streak.
Marlins bullpen has been good. Nationals bullpen has been good. Clay Hensley getting loose in the bullpen.
2 nice innings from Ryan Webb. Nice inning from Mike Dunn.
0-2 to Bonifacio. Tried to elevate the fastball and sneak it by him. Bonifacio has bounced out twice and struck out. John Buck has a couple of hits in this one. Hanley has a couple of hits. Marlins don't really have that big hit tonight like they had last night. And a good running fastball dispatches Bonifacio.
That's some serious 96 with sink. Wow. You know, the other night when Storen was in there, Mike Stanton pinch hit. He drew a walk. Storen got through the inning. It was the next inning when Infante hit that shallow fly ball to right field that Worth made the error on. The Marlins scored that unearned run. Storen took the loss in that game, but Stanton has seen Storen, and he took some close pitches, but drew a walk the other night.
Breaking ball, and he looked like he was on it. 0-1. Missed an entire month of spring training with the quad injury. The crazy thing was he did play in the first game, which was not an official spring game, if there is such a thing as an official spring game. It was against the University of Miami. He hit a 500-foot home run. Then he hurt the quad on the next AB. That's a strike.
Yeah, he hit a little chopper in the infield, trying to beat it out.
So he misses about a month, and he comes back in his first game back. He hits a couple of bombs.
Hit 2 home runs and 7 RBIs against the Red Sox.
1-2. Struck him out. Good sharp break. And Storen has struck out 3.
Well, it's in the zone. Top part. But the breaking ball just locks up Mike a little bit, and Storen gets the strikeout. He's made some good pitches. He struck out the last 3 hitters he's faced.
So all that stands between extra innings is Chris Coughlin. And he yanks one to the second baseman, Espinoza, who throws him out. Extra inning. Coming up, 3-3.
with starters going 5 and 6 innings. Every manager has to use that bullpen 3 or 4 innings every night, especially in the month of April. And sooner or later, there always comes a period of time during the season when that bullpen starts to wear down because of all the early use.
Dunn, Webb, now Hensley. You can see Jim Riggleman just shaking hands with Drew Storen. The Nationals and the Marlins bullpens have been matching zeros ever since John Lannon and Josh Johnson exited the ball game. So here we go, 10th inning. You didn't have any plans, did you, Tommy?
No, my plan was to go to Houston whenever we take off.
Espinosa is 0 for 3. Hensley dips one low. Espinosa, Jerry Hairston, and then Drew Storen's spot. I can't see a number, but from the size of him, it looks like Todd Coffey out there in the bullpen. The right-hander. And I'm guessing Sean Burnett, the lefty. You think Todd Coffey will say hi to Tim Cheetah on his way in if he gets called in? Cheetah umpiring at third. It was one of the great exchanges. I mean, we don't get a chance to listen into umpire exchanges at all. But last night we had a chance to listen to Tim Cheetah after he had ejected Todd Coffey. And it was rather entertaining. And I think we got a lot of respect for Tim Cheetah, especially after hearing what he had to say. Because he was right. He told Todd Coffey that that pitch had not been a strike all night. The 2-2, in so many words. Into center field, Espinosa has a base hit. Coughlin picks it up. Big turn. And he'll hustle back. Got speed on the bases now.
That's one thing we've seen, Rich, from Jim Riggleman and a little bit of a new-look Nationals club. We've seen aggressiveness on the bases. We've seen stolen bases. We've seen hit and run. So he has some options here in this top of the 10th inning.
It's not quite Whitey Herzog ball, the guy that Riggleman had a chance to work under. But you don't have a lot of big boppers in the lineup, so you got to score runs somehow.
Well, and you have a decent combination here with Espinosa at first and Hairston.
Hairston bunts it. Hensley fields it.
So they decide to play it that way and sacrifice Espinosa to second.
And Jim Riggleman going to his lineup card and looking for the venerable Matt Stairs, the old hockey coach himself.
We talked about it the other night. There are a lot of prolific pinch hitters in the ballpark. Matt Stairs the most. Right now he's sitting on 99 career pinch hits. Wes Helms is second amongst active players at 82. And Greg Dobbs is fourth with 66.
And we're going to see number 3 tomorrow night. Former Hurricane Jason Michaels in Houston. A strike to Stairs. 23 pinch hit home runs, the all-time record. He had some really solid years in Oakland when he was an everyday player, but really has found his extended his career as a pinch hitter and the ability to come off the bench and knock one out of the park. He does not do left-handed pitching. That's just not for him. He had only 3 at-bats against lefties last year.
Hey, when you're 43, you can pick your spots.
And he started his career, he signed with the Expos as a free agent. He wasn't drafted. He was playing on the Canadian national team.
Out of New Brunswick, Canada.
Yeah, and the Expos, hey, you know, Canadian team, Canadian hero, sign him. Yeah, it's good publicity.
Played up in West Palm Beach for the West Palm Beach Expos in 1989.
He's been in the big leagues for a long time. He turned down a hockey scholarship to Michigan State as a youngster. None of that matters to Clay Hensley. He's just trying to throw strikes.
And trying to keep Stairs, if he does hit it, keep him in the ballpark.
19th Major League season for Stairs. Lost him. So Stairs is at first. Now you've got Ian Desmond, whose bat has heated up in this series. He has 6 hits in the last 2 nights. Perry Hill and Edwin Rodriguez. Hill likes to move his infielders around depending on how the Marlins pitch someone. Hill goes as far as to mark the infield with spots that correspond to different situations. One of the great quotes from Perry when Louis Castillo got traded away. He asked Perry Hill if where he was going they would have those same marks on the field. Runner goes, Buck's throw to third. He is out. Big out at third base. Espinosa gunned down. Ringleman coming out to argue.
Well, that's a play that Espinosa on his own felt he got a good jump, good lead to jump. He felt he beat it. I think it's very close, and we may see that he was correct. The throw is right there. It's bang, bang. The foot, the tag is up in the knee area right about when the foot gets to the bag. It is a bang, bang play. He's out. He's out.
Tim Cheetah made the right call.
Nicely done, Tim Cheetah. And you know what? When Jim Riggleman sees that, he'll understand. But he has to go out and argue because it was a close play. And with Matt Stairs, 43 years old at first base, he stays there. So that's a huge play. Now nobody's in scoring position. Huge play. And a strong throw by John Buck.
You're right. I don't think Stairs has even thought about stealing a base for 10 years.
Of course, a few years ago, they would have had to pinch run for him. But he's the svelte Matt Stairs.
Once he dropped 30 pounds, you're right. And we're both scrambling to find out when the last. I'll bet you he did steal a base somehow. The back end of a double steal like that.
He had 2 stolen bases last year for the Padres.
Wow.
To give him 77 for his career. .77 in the minor leagues, 30 at the big league level. So over 100 stolen bases in his career.
I'm sure that's what he would put on his resume.
In his professional career.
Fly ball right field.
What a big play, though.
Yeah, it was. Bonifacio squeezes it. Bottom of the 10th coming up. Still 3-3. Clay Hensley holds the line. John Buck, bang, bang. Espinosa out.
Tim Cheetah.
He was ejected, but he was ejected after being removed from the game. So he was on his way out and stopped to chat with Tim.
Well, he sprints in much too fast, because you and I were wondering, wow, I wonder when Coffey comes in for that bullpen down the left field line, he'll pass right by Tim Cheetah, but he sprinted by him, so no problem of a confrontation there.
Marlins have a good part of the order up with Infante, Hanley, and Gabby.
Talked about Coffey last night. Fastballs and sliders, a few splitters.
Omar Infante, 1 for 4. Breaking ball from Coffey. Omar with a couple of hits in this series. Chops it to third. And Zimmerman sidearms it over. One out, here comes Hanley.
I was watching both corner infielders were not on the line. Zimmerman he's a little bit. But a lot of times you'll see guys guard the line and LaRoe's way off the line over first. And turns out Zimmerman was in the correct spot. A lot of times in a tie game, late in the game, the corner infielders will be on the lines to guard from an extra base hit. Zimmerman is a little more so now with Hanley up there.
Couple hits for Hanley. Coffey slider ducks outside. 1-0. Coffey last year was a Brewer and appeared in 69 games. It was 2-4, a 4.76 ERA. 3 seasons in Milwaukee. Started his career as a Cincinnati Red when he was 24. That was back in 2005. He's one of those rare guys. He's not really a closer, but has never started a game. So he's essentially been a middle relief guy. This is his 373rd appearance. Has picked up a few saves along the way. Mujica loosens up.
The difference, too, you notice in Coffey's slider, not as hard as Drew Storen's slider, nor is his fastball.
As Tommy pointed out, Hanley Ramirez did not homer during the spring, has not homered yet this year. There's the progression of pitches.
I see a pattern there. Now, number 6 needs to be up a little higher, middle of the plate, right in Hanley's wheelhouse.
If the pattern continues, number 6 is going to hit Hanley in the thigh. Hanley hit 21 homers last year, 24 homers in 2009, the year he won the batting title. Full count. Down goes Hanley
with the slider.
Stayed on that plate.
Yeah, perfect spot. Tough pitch with 2 strikes. You look at it, you go, hey, that was ball 4. Well, you know what? Tough pitch with 2 strikes.
Gabby now. Two outs. Bottom of the 10th. Gabby muscles that one into left center field. Hairston races and makes the catch. How about 11? Todd Coffey much calmer tonight. 3-3. Scott Cousins, the only position players left. Leo Nunez, Brian Sanchez, Randy Choate, the only relievers left.
Now there's Leo. Now you hope, and this is a situation where you've gotten a couple of innings from Ryan Webb, and you hope that if needed, you can get at least 2 from Edward Mujica.
This was a Josh Johnson start, 6 innings. And he gave up just the 4 hits. His defense was not real good behind him. 3 runs, just 1 of them earned. We are bordering on late night with the Fish. Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmerman, Adam LaRoche.
Of course, as you mentioned, Rich, the Nationals head up to New York for their opener at Citi Field, and it's a 4:10 start.
Marlins actually pick up an extra hour on their way to Houston. They will stop and get that hour in Baton Rouge. There's a fastball for a strike. There are spots and times when a Major League charter will stop to refuel if you're flying from one coast to the other. If you're flying from Florida, say, to Seattle,
which we'll do this year,
or from Florida to San Francisco, depending on the size of the aircraft and the winds and the amount of equipment. A baseball team obviously travels with a lot of equipment, so the plane is very heavy.
A lot of it depends on how much you pack.
Where are some of the places we've stopped? I think Austin, Texas. One time we landed in Tampa. We came that close. I want to say
a lot of times they stop at smaller, more obscure airports because it's easier to get in and out.
There was a Vegas stop, but that was a whole nother reason. 3-2.
That was a casino stop.
That was a nice stop by Mujica. Flips it on to first. I think there's been a South Dakota stop. There's been a Utah stop, a Colorado stop.
I think he flips up the splitter and gets Worth out in front off the end of the bat. Makes a nice play to get him out. Good job to recover. Remember, Mujica had to come out of a game. He felt a little something behind his knee a couple of games ago, but he's been fine ever since.
Here is Zimmerman. I believe it was last year I was talking to, I want to say J.J. Putz about travel. And he had played on either corner in New York and in Seattle. And he was, at the time, I believe, with the White Sox. Ground ball in the hole. Hanley knocks it down, and it'll stop there. It's an infield hit with Zimmerman. And he was amazed at the travel just in the Central and how there were times where they would play a game in a visiting Central city, and he would be home for dinner in Chicago that night.
If you're in there, there's no question the teams in the Central, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the White Sox, Kansas City, they have a little more convenient travel schedule because of where they're located geographically. Miami, San Diego, Seattle, a little different story.
But no complaints.
No complaints.
One coming from Mujica. Ball's hit a long way to right field. Bonifacio with the wall, and it's gone. A two-run shot here in the 11th. And Mujica, who was touched by the long ball last year in San Diego, gives up a painful home run here in extra innings against the Nationals.
A lot of times, if he hangs that splitter and leaves it out over the plate, that's a pitch that he gets hurt with. And I think that was a pitch there. Hung it, belt high, out over the plate. And Adam LaRoche doesn't miss that pitch very often.
LaRoche's first homer as a National.
Breaking out of a little 0 for 10. He'd been 0 for 10 going into that at bat.
That ball's hit a long way. Coughlin racing towards the wall. At the track. Coughlin reaches. Got it. Oh, Chris Coughlin. Let's hope he's all right. He's got the ball. Let's hope it's just the wind knocked out of him. He hit the corner of that wall as it just starts to jut into the triangle. Well, many people question whether Chris Coughlin can play center field. And if this homestand is any indication, he can. He's made a couple of terrific diving catches, and that one was a great grab.
The other thing that makes this one difficult, you're right at the corner of that little area, that triangle in center field, right at the corner. He stays with it and keeps it in the glove as he crashes down on the warning track, which a lot of times you'll see a player make this catch. Now he comes down. I mean, he's flat against the wall, the padded wall, hangs onto it when he hits that hard warning track. And hopefully he's just shaking a little bit. He appears to be okay, and that's great news. But you're absolutely right. Anybody that's watched him play this homestand, you've seen him take good routes. You've seen him make a couple of spectacular catches, as he did right there.
That's about a 410-foot out. So Mujica's given up a couple of long balls, one that left the yard, one that ended up in Coughlin's glove. And here is Ankiel. Ankiel nearly ripped himself in two with that cut. Logan Morrison, John Buck, Wes Helms scheduled for the Marlins in the 11th. Changeup, that ball hit on the button. Bonifacio is there and he makes the catch. So Mujica gives up a two-run homer. The Marlins' string of scoreless innings from their bullpen ends at 20. And it to bend out. It looks padded, and it is padded. The problem is, on the other side, there's a steel beam support right where Coughlin hit. So the give right at the point of impact wasn't real tremendous. That could not have felt good. And Coughlin back in the dugout. The Marlins are down by 2 here in the 11th. Logan Morrison takes a strike. Sean Burnett, who the Nationals have fashioned to close some games this year.
Yeah, I think they'll see him close some. They'll see Storen. He has one save this year. And really, for the most part in his young career, a guy who's been a matchup guy, but he did have 3 saves last year. And we saw him the other night, and he was throwing the ball well out of Wellington High School. So a local kid getting a chance to try to pick up a save here.
Fastball up and in. No swing by Morrison. Counts 2-1. And a frustrating night for Lomo. Twice he has struck out with runners in scoring position. He does have a base hit and a 1-for-4 night. Going to get something started in the 11th. That's right down the middle. Baltimore explodes for 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th. Jim Presley has the Oriole hitters swinging the bats. 9-5 Baltimore. That's in the 9th now. So Baltimore on top of Detroit, 9-5 in the 9th. Morrison's grounder will flip. Just got him. And so Burnett has the first out as he tries to get a save here. Nationals trying to get at least one game of this series. That Marlins winners in game 1 last night, a come from behind win. Buck has 2 more hits.
Right now, and early on, it's only a week. And if the Marlins can't come back here, they'll be 3-3. You'd like to see a little better homestand, but without Mike Stanton, you just see a different offense. And it's not been a real consistent offense. Most of the offense has been this man here, John Buck.
And it has not been a great defense. Although there have been spots. I mean, Chris Coughlin has been a bright spot in center field on the homestand. Hanley has 3 errors and probably should have 4. The one ball that scooted by him was ruled a hit tonight.
Gabby's played solid at first. Omar's been terrific at second.
Buck goes out of the zone after that Burnett offering, and there are 2 outs. The Fish down to their final out. Wes Helms comes up. Marlins are hopeful that Mike Stanton is back, if not tomorrow night, at least on Saturday night. Houston finally won their first game today. They beat Cincinnati, and that was the first loss for Cincinnati. Helms a broken bat single into left center field. So the Fish have life. Bonifacio now. Murphy's on deck.
That's all you need, a little life. Get the tying run to the plate. A couple of hits for Wes Helms tonight. This start has done him good, allowed him to get some at-bats. He doubled back in the 6th inning and picked up that single there.
Strike one to Bonifacio. 0 for 4 with an RBI. Be nice to get Murphy to the plate. Bonifacio has one career home run, and it was an inside the park home run. Sean Burnett's got him 0-2.
Yeah, and that opening day home run, the inside the park home run in 09, started the season for him. Had 4 hits that game.
Ball's out, 1-2. Slow tapper. Desmond stumbled, and he still gets the out at short. And the Nationals win it in extra innings. Adam LaRoche, a 2-run homer off of Edward Mujica. Sean Burnett gets the save, and it's the Nationals bullpen that outlasts the Marlins pen. Marlins take 2 of 3 in the series, but they split the homestand. Now 3-3 and headed to Houston, headed to Marlins Live next.